What'd you go and fall down for? This is a pretty standard lift with your back moment. Ooh, still heavy. Alright, the reason we're loading this stuff up is the transmission out of the 84 has a completely different flange pattern than this guy. I mean, it's just completely different animal. Looks like the exact same internals. So yeah, we're probably just going to do a couple of repairs. The other problem is the exit tail housing is digital on the 91 and mechanical on the 84. So I'm thinking we break that off, throw it on the other one, and then we'll have a digital encoder on the 84 house. I don't know, maybe we'll see. I'm gonna carry it up to one of our local shops that sells transmission parts, see what they have to say. We'll go from there. All right, I just picked up a square body. Been swapping out my personal truck from a work truck at my mom's place. So whenever I wired up the marker lights in the cab for the blinkers, after I did that, I noticed when I was driving with my lights on, you know, for marker lights and headlights, my left blinker is just blinking erratically inside the cab. And I couldn't really figure it out. I noticed it before, but I thought it was just the marker light on the side was connecting and disconnecting. Anyway, I'll have probably cut to a video of me walking around checking the lights afterwards so you can kind of see what it is doing. when I go get it home and start diagnosing it, I'm thinking I have some kind of connection issue. Somehow or another, the marker light is bleeding into the blinker circuit, so I don't know if I got a wire that's nicked and they're communicating through each other. I don't know if a housing's bad. I don't know where the problem is exactly, but we'll just start chasing it down until we find the problem. So probably start out with just taking all the covers off and seeing what I got going underneath and go from there. Alright, so I got back from the transmission shop. They said that it would be safe to swap the tail housings. So I carried it up to my shop at work. We pressure washed it. I used some Easy Off oven cleaner, helped clean it up, and I started painting the inside. And it's GM blue. It really turned out to be kind of a teal color, but that's what my daughter said she wanted, so we shot the inside of this thing just to see what it's going to turn out like. Seems to be pretty nice. And then taped off the front flange face just to, you know, make sure it stays nice and level and flat. I'm thinking I'm going to just tape off the rest of the stuff, a little more scrubbing, clean everything up a little bit, paint the top half of the transmission. While it's at the transmission shop, I got a fresh gasket for the pan, fresh filter, front and rear seal, and then this is apparently the seal for the tail housing. So should be sealed back up afterwards. I may look at the check tube, maybe just silicone that a little bit. Other than that, everything looked pretty clean, so that's what we're going to try and do. Well, the weekend's almost up. I did get the square body's marker / blinker lights figured out. I was thinking it was going to be some kind of power issue, like 12-volt power to the markers was bleeding into the blinker, causing it to flicker like the blinker was coming on. After I disconnected the marker light, I thought maybe that was where the short was happening. Nothing changed. So then I disconnected the front blinker. The rear driver's side blinker worked perfectly. So I was like, oh, well, it must be the socket for the front blinker. So then I brought it in here, checked it with a meter. I found no cracks, no damage on it. So I was like, well, it doesn't really look like that. So then I went back to my wiring Bible, my Painless Performance Productions wiring harness for a 73 to 87 GM truck. That's what I put in the truck, and it's pretty in detail. I'll show you what made me realize what the actual problem was. So obviously, I thought maybe I had made a mistake somewhere across the wire or something. So I went back through, checked all my connections, made sure they matched up with the book, and they did. And then down here, this last paragraph says, on these side marker lights, you will notice that there is no means for a direct ground to be applied to the light. That's because the path of ground will travel from this park/side marker socket to the front turn signal socket through either one of the wires to ground through the front turn/park light. The front turn/park signal socket is a higher wattage bulb, so when the ground passes through, the bulb will not cause the bulb to illuminate, since it has a... All right, let's try that one more time. Y'all won't see it because I'm going to cut it out, but the camera kept cutting off due to the SD card I was using. Anyhow, so after reading the paragraph y'all just read with me, and I already checked out the socket for the front blinker, I realized it must be the ground, so I changed out a butt connector and made sure everything was nice tight, and yeah, problem solved. After that, I got this transmission painted up. It's very vintage teal, It feels like a 50s car or something. I'll show you. Kind of looks a little brighter blue in the camera, at least what I'm seeing. But it's GM blue. There's some good old Duplicolor engine enamel with ceramic. DE 1608 GM blue. That's what my daughter wants the motor to be painted. That came out pretty good. So all we got to do now, break the tail housing off. We're going to swap it with this tail housing. That'll give us a digital encoder that should go back to the factory gauge. Hopefully that works well. I don't know if we're going to reuse the torque converter from the 305 transmission or not. Obviously the other torque converter is just different. It's a smaller size and whatnot. But yeah, everything kind of came out pretty good. We'll see if there's anything else we might need to change. I know for sure the front seal on the transmission looked like it was leaking, just kind of where the leak pattern was. So we'll change out the front rear seals, pan seal, the seal for the tail housing. Maybe we'll look at getting replacement plugs. I don't even know what this is for. I have to look that up. And then obviously the digital encoder on the tail housing for the other one. Maybe replace that one. I guess we'll probably just try it first because I'll be able to get to that inside the car and replace it if need be. All right, so I wanted to get the seals done on the transmission. That's kind of the plan, like finish the transmission up, have it ready to go for the end of the video. Procrastinated too much this weekend, hung out with the family and whatnot. So let's just cut to a plan of what's next to do. For the transmission, we still have to change out the tail housing, paint the tail housing, change the front and rear seals, change the filter, and reinstall the pan. And that should pretty much finish the transmission up. Obviously, we still have to decide whether we want to reuse the torque converter or not. Other than that, might have to change out a connection or two, electrical connection or two. But as far as the engine goes, we need to check the compression, valve covers and seals need to be addressed, so the seals are leaking. I don't know if we're going to get away with reusing the valve covers or not, so we may have to get valve covers also. Front timing cover is leaking somewhere around where it connects to the oil pan, so we probably need to just reseal up all of that. The oil pan somebody used as a jack point, so it's cratered in the bottom, so we need to replace that. Water pump, we're going to go ahead and replace that just so that it's done. It seems to be working fine. We're going to do the same thing with the fuel pump, just because it's going to be deep in the car, hard to get to if it does go out. So, $27 fuel pump's not a big deal. We need to redress the carb. The exhaust manifolds I want to deal with, because just the old style exhaust manifolds from the 80s have all that smog emissions crap on them. So they got little vent tubes everywhere that are pinched off. And so I'd like to replace those, maybe with some like shorty headers or something specific for the car. Maybe just some exhaust manifolds that are, don't have any extra holes in them. And then we got to paint the engine, and I think that will take care of everything we wanted to do before it goes back in the car. Alright, so that's it. That wraps up this video, I think. We kind of have a game plan for what to go forwards with. We still have a whole bunch to do on the square body, like a huge laundry list. So maybe we'll dive into that. Maybe make a list of what we need to do with that. I do know we have 3.5 months, I guess you'd say, before this Camaro needs to be up, running, and ready to go. It's going to be my daughter's first car. So we want to have it ready to go whenever she starts her driver's ed, so she can kind of get a feel for it. We can make sure that everything's working right on it, before she starts driving it back and forth to school or whatever. I don't have to worry about her broke down on the side of the road. After we get this car up and running, we'll probably bring the square body back in here and start diving into some of the bigger fixes that I want to do on it. We got a couple of leaks that have sprung up on the driveline. Hopefully, after we fix those, we can, safely and confidently take it for a ride and park in somebody's driveway. Not worry about putting a leak in there, or oil spot in the driveway. So yeah, we got plenty to do. Hope you enjoyed the video. We'll see y'all next time.